As organizations scale, their software interfaces often transform into monolithic bottlenecks. Over time, these systems grow so complex that human operators must navigate layers of nested menus to perform even basic tasks. Legacy transaction-heavy interfaces force the user to adapt to the database's rigid structure. Efficiency is lost because the person must conform to the system, rather than the software supporting the human workflow. SAP Fiori represents a move away from monolithic software toward an activity-based architecture. It isn't a visual reskin. It changes the underlying logic of how a user interacts with data. Adopting this model requires moving past the historical reliance on manual transaction codes. To manage the complexity of a scaling enterprise, the system's design must focus entirely on the specific, immediate needs of the operator. Understanding this transition requires looking at the surface, the unified entry point, and deconstructing the interface down to its core requirements. This is the SAP Fiori Launchpad, the primary digital front door for all SAP products. The interface is dynamic. Active tiles push real-time impact KPIs to the home screen, making critical data visible before an application is even opened. This single access point utilizes stable URLs, allowing users to integrate specific views directly with standard browser bookmarks and sharing workflows. The Launchpad functions as a filter, protecting the user from the noise of the underlying system. To prevent this interface from becoming cluttered, Fiori employs a specific organizational taxonomy. The system uses strict hierarchical assignments that are tied directly to an individual's specific business role. At the top level are spaces. For example, a user in finance sees a general ledger space tailored to their professional responsibilities. Each space is divided into pages. If we look at the drop-down under the asset space, we find distinct pages for specific subtasks like posting and reporting. Content within a page is then grouped into sections. These visual blocks segregate tiles into functional groups, keeping related tools in one place. This hierarchy ensures that the most frequently used tools are prioritized in the top-level sections, creating a layout that reflects the user's actual day. By mapping business roles to predefined spaces and pages, the architecture organizes the workflow before a user initiates a single task. Each tile in these sections functions as a gateway to one of three distinct application architectures. Transactional apps provide the baseline tools. They offer guided navigation for core tasks, such as creating or changing documents. While transactional apps run on most standard databases, more complex processing requires a shift in power. Moving into analytics requires the speed of SAP HANA. Analytical apps use that in-memory speed to provide visual overviews of complex topics. This allows a user to monitor KPIs and move directly from an insight to an action. Fact sheets provide the final layer for search and exploration. They offer a 360-degree view of an object and allow the user to navigate contextually between related pieces of data. This setup optimizes computing by shifting the workload between standard database transactions and high-speed analytics based on the user's needs. These application types work together to form a directional workflow pipeline. The process begins at the Launchpad, where the user identifies immediate needs through active KPI tiles. When the user identifies an anomaly, they drill down into domain-specific information, using overview pages or list reports to investigate the cause. Once the issue is understood, the user moves into a detailed object page to carry out a specific transaction, such as extending a contract or updating a sales order. Fiori bridges the wide gap between high-level monitoring and granular data entry, combining them into a single, seamless motion. How does the system ensure this workflow remains consistent across different business sectors and different devices? 5 core design principles govern the entire Launchpad and application typology. The requirements for responsive and coherent design ensure that applications share a visual language and adapt automatically to any screen size. However, the most significant constraint is simplicity. This is enforced by the 1-1-3 rule. Every Fiori application is scoped to support exactly one user, one use case, and a maximum of 3 screens. Maintaining these specific design constraints prevents the software from reverting to the cluttered, unorganized state of legacy systems. This rigid structure actually enables a high degree of user personalization. Because applications follow the modular 1-1-3 rule, end users can modify their own launchpads and add tools from a catalog without IT intervention. For example, a group cash manager focusing on the German market can create a custom view for specific data. By creating a specific tile with customized thresholds and assigning it to their My Home group, the manager gains one-click access to their most important data. This personalization provides immediate value, reducing time spent navigating the system and increasing the speed of user adoption. By deconstructing the legacy monolith and reorganizing it into role-based components, SAP Fiori replaces fragmented ERP data with an adaptive digital workspace that prioritizes user activity over technical complexity.